Hi, our guest today is Michael Visconti, who's a candidate for the Milford School Committee seat, one of two seats that's open in the April Milford Town election. Michael, welcome. Good to see you.
Thank you. Good to be here.
You ran last year.
I did,
and in a crowded field, and you're running this year in a crowded field.
Well, I'm running this year again because, I'll be frank, I'm tired and frustrated watching the deterioration, the rapid deterioration of our school district, and somebody has to step up and do something. Now, I understand, I'm a realist. I know I cannot fix it myself, but I hope with the help of the voters at the polls, I can at least start the process to get our school district back up to the level where it should be.
Mike, I got a question for you. By law, the school committee is the boss of the superintendent. Do you ever feel that some members of the current committee think they work for the superintendent, not that they're his boss?
I have yet to see any of the school committee members go against the superintendent. Now, it's highly unlikely that everything the superintendent says or proposes is a good thing, but all of the members that are on the committee now, and I don't want to.
No, I'm not trying to get you to.
I don't want to run the current members down.
Right, I'm not trying to get you to do that. I really mean, what I'm trying to say is, as a school committee member, do you think you're the superintendent's boss, or do you think he's your boss? We know what the law says.
We need someone on the school committee who is strong enough, strong-willed, and will stand up to proposals, whether they come from the superintendent or the assistant superintendent or from whoever, that they feel are not in the best interest of the students, and not just say, I agree with that just because it's there in front of you.
Right. Now, if memory serves me correctly, going back to when you ran last year, you were one of the first people I ever heard of to start bringing out some of these places like Niche and other companies that rank school systems. I think Milford just came out in the current rankings somewhere around 150, if I'm not mistaken. How do you feel about that?
The ranking of the Milford schools, both the high school by itself and the district, are disgusting. We can't even break the 100 mark. What
would you do, or what do you think needs to be done to bring those scores, in this case, lower? The lower the score, the better.
We need to hold the administration accountable. You can come to me or come to the school committee with all kinds of proposals about courses you want to add, curriculums you want to change, new innovative ideas. That's fine. I don't care about that. What I care about is the end result. The proof is in the pudding, and right now the pudding is just not cutting it.
Well, then what we hear at finance committee meetings is, well, more than 50% of the student population has needs. And I challenged an existing member, what does that mean? And it means they're either English language learners, special ed learners, or they're economically disadvantaged and there's a social and emotional challenge with them. How big a factor do you think that should play in bringing scores, holding back the progress of the school system?
Well, let me say this. Lexington has the second highest population, percentage-wise, of population of English learners in the state.
Okay.
Beat out only by North Quincy schools.
I would have expected it would be like Boston or Brockton.
I would have too, but it's Lexington.
Okay.
And with that, they are routinely in the top 5, 10 ranked schools in the state, school districts in the state. routinely, year after year. With the second, Milford doesn't even come close to that. I went to a forum recently where the school department gave a presentation and they stated that the English learners, our population in the Milford schools is increasing exponentially. So I questioned them, I said, can I assume that when you say it's increasing exponentially, you're really just using that as kind of a figure of speech, which a lot of people do?
To me, that would mean it's doubling or tripling.
Yeah, which a lot of people do.
Right.
The response from the presenter was, no, it's increasing exponentially. I said, well, wait. When you said that, you put a graph up on the screen.
Right.
And without a calculator, doing this in my head, I'm looking at maybe an increase of a few percent each year.
Right.
As it turns out, it's less than 2% each year.
That's not
increasing.
exponential.
I said, that's not, if it was increasing exponentially, we'd have in a few years, we'd have a million kids.
I have to tell you, I was a very bad student at math decades ago, but I still remember the exponent is the little number up in the top corner, and it means doubling or tripling or quadrupling. It does not mean 2%.
My point is, to the voters out there, to the taxpayers out there, be very careful of the misinformation coming out of the school department.
Okay. So how would you go about as a school committee member? You said, I know you're only one member. You happen to be a rather strong-voiced and strong-willed person from your appearances at town meeting, and you and I were reminiscing before this taping began about your days on the zoning board. So you're not afraid to take a stand on an issue and voice your opinion. But what needs to be done then to turn this around, in your opinion?
As I said, we need to hold the administration, the superintendent, and his staff accountable for bringing Milford to a level 1 school.
And what happens if they don't?
Well, then, you know, there are consequences. When you come to me with your goals, superintendent comes to the school with his goals every year. I want one of those goals to be, and then year after year, the superintendent is given high marks on his evaluation. What are the high marks for? Heading up an underperforming school district. Makes no sense to me. And I don't want, like I said, I don't want to run down people.
Right.
I don't know the superintendent. I don't know him personally. I don't know his staff. What I do know is the goal should be get Milford to a level 1 ranking with the state. That's the goal. Now meet that goal and I'll give you a good marks.
Okay.
Anything short of that.
Now, how do you feel about giving, saying the school committee needs, the school department needs more money in order to get to that goal?
More money. Once again, the feeling with the school department is to solve a problem, throw more money at it. They've been doing that for years. And unfortunately, or fortunately for them, when they go to the FinCom every year, the FinCom, I don't want to say rolls over, but for lack of a better term, they roll over and they give them all the money they want.
Well, the FinCom doesn't do it, the voters at town meeting do it.
But the voters at town meeting, whatever the FinCom says, whatever's in that budget, they'll vote yes. You know that.
Yes, that's by and large true.
They blame the fault. They blamed the poor performance on the ELL students and the immigrants in town. So the FinCom gave them hundreds of thousands of dollars for the ELL programs or whatever. So okay, so we gave you the money to solve the problem. What did you do with the money? The problem is still there. We cannot blame it on the ELL students. We have other schools in the state that are ranked in the top 25 that have more English learners
than Milford does.
Coming into their school, percentage-wise, of course, because there's different school populations than Milford does, and they're in the top. They're ranked top 5. Milford was on the verge, and I mean on the verge of being taken over from being intervened, having state intervention.
Really, in what
with
category?
The level, you're down to level 3.
At the high school.
There's only 5 levels.
Right.
You know, it's a short hop from level 3 to 4 and 5, and then then the state's in there. We should not even be close to that. Some of the candidates said, oh, we should get our schools to level 2. Wrong. Level 1 or bust, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a fair goal to say we want to be level 2 within 2 years, we want to be level 1 within 5 years. I don't think anybody can make a leap in 1 year, but no, I agree with you. I would shoot for the top.
And that should be one of the superintendent's goals to be rated on at his evaluation.
Okay. So what other reasons, other than the broader goal of getting the school system up several notches, what goals do you have? In other words, why should people vote for you? You have one overriding goal of raising them. Do you have more sub goals than that you could tell people
Everybody
about?
talks about the students choicing out of the school system, okay?
Right.
And everybody's scratching their heads. Oh, gee, why are they choicing out? I'll tell you why they're choicing out. They're choicing out because they can go to a neighboring school district,
Right.
and get a higher quality education than they can in Milford. Milford is, let's face it, let's not beat around
Right.
the bush here. Milford is an underperforming school district.
Okay.
Has been for the last 10 years.
Okay. Now, I listened to the school superintendent at the last finance committee meeting. He gave an update. I listened to, I did not attend, but I listened to on the internet the meeting they had with Citizens for Milford. And when the issue of choice comes up, and we had another member on recently, I'm told, well, we're at capacity, so we have kids that want to come into the system to change that balance, but we don't have the capacity to take them.
Once again, beware of misinformation being disseminated from the school department. Be very aware. If that's the case, why are kids leaving our system? That doesn't account for why kids are leaving the system, choicing out.
Right.
A lot of them, a high percentage of them are choicing out to go over the hill to Hopedale, where they can get a
Hopedale, Holliston, if you look at the numbers.
All much higher rated than the Milford schools, all much higher ranked. Plus, let's look at the numbers. Look at the average SAT scores of the students coming out of Milford. They do not even meet the benchmark set by the College Board. Don't even meet the benchmark. That is unacceptable to me.
What is the benchmark?
I want to say it's, don't quote me on, well,
It's a certain number.
they set a certain number that they feel if a student reaches this score, then they are ready for
College.
to pursue secondary education or enter the workforce in a different capacity.
Right.
Not everybody has to go to college.
That I agree with you on.
So,
And I think,
whereas-
unfortunately, society now tells everybody, if you don't go to college, you're not going to amount to anything. And some people, college is not for them.
And I agree, and that's wrong. The trades are out there. Now, when I say that does not mean that we want to turn Milford High into a trade school. I do
Right.
not agree with that at all. If we're graduating students that are proficient in reading, writing, math, and sciences,
Right.
and the basics, then sure, yes. If we want to add some other programs that don't affect the budget, then sure. But the main reason we go to school is for academics. There's no denying that. That is
Right.
the main reason we go to school.
But I also think, Mike, we have to recognize the fact. I mean, I've got a friend who's probably one of the finest car mechanics I've ever met in my life. That's all he ever wanted to do. Okay? We should not be taking somebody who feel they have a talent when they're 16 and 17 and saying, well, you're not going to amount to anything if you're not going to college. If you have somebody who's bent to go a certain way and has a talent that way, I think at some point we're going to realize, well, what point does it make to go to college if you've decided at age 14 you want to be an electrician or
or a
fix
carpenter,
cars or a carpenter?
or a plumber, or one of the trades.
I think
sure.
the trades are very important, but most of the people I know have more common sense and really don't need 4 years of college to help them be a better carpenter.
They do not need 4 years of college.
What they need is a good apprenticeship.
But they need
and
the
learn.
basics.
Right.
Try being a carpenter and not knowing how to, and I'm simplifying it, add 2 and 2 or multiply 2 times 2.
I have
How
to
do you figure quantities? You're all those things you're gonna need.
I have to tell you an honest story. I bought it for closed house 4 years ago to renovate it. I stunk at math. It was my worst subject in high school. I learned more math in renovating that house, or remembered it, or had the capacity to learn it at a different age. As you said, I had to do fractions on board lengths. I had to do everything. And all of a sudden I said, you know, if Mrs. Conway, who was my math teacher for 2 years in high school, if there were a way of me contacting her, I actually told her one day, Mrs. Conway, I'm never going to need math.
See?
Growing up. If there were a way for me to reach her if she's still alive, I'd say, you know what, Mrs. Conway, I was an idiot at 17 to tell you that because I used more math in renovating that house. So I'm agreeing with you 1,000% there.
And that is what we should be instilling in the students who feel that they don't want to go to college. They want to go into the trades.
Well, you know, I could just Google it and it'll give me the answer.
You're still going to need, well, see, that's one of the problems too. You know, reading, writing, and arithmetic, the 3 R's. Now, when I say writing, I don't necessarily limit that to, you know, being able to write longhand or cursive.
Well, people don't know cursive anymore.
Well, you know, it won't be long before us old timers will be able to use cursive as a secret code.
I like that. But I think what's interesting is the high school principal, I guess, is going to have a parent meeting in the month of February or March about reducing the availability of cell phones to high school students during the day. I'm surprised to learn there even are available during the day. How do you feel about that?
Right now, I see no reason why there should be any need for cell phones in the class. If you want to have some sort of emergency cell phone that the teacher might have, that's fine. But for students to just arbitrarily have cell phones in the classroom, I see.
Oh, I don't think they're allowed to use them in the classroom. I think they're allowed to use them at lunchtime and before or after hours or in the hallways, but he's saying it distracts from learning.
It could very well. And how do you enforce? You know, these kids are not stupid. You know, how do you enforce
I agree with you.
not having the cell phone in the classroom?
Well, I'm only using it for a calculator.
Yeah. And to get the answers. Who knows what they're being.
Well, yeah, I don't want to put kids down today. I actually think the kids today, having 3 children in their 20s, I'm going to refer to that as today, even though they went through high school, you know, already the older one has been out, you know, 10 years. I think that compared to you or I, today's generation of kids have a lot more issues and pressures from the media and society than we ever had. And I think it's very hard for some of them to get through all that. But I also think there's a corollary to that maybe parents expect the schools to do too much today.
And we had more than our parents had, and so on and so forth down the line.
That I'll agree.
On and on. Students need to know that along with academics, discipline is important. Without discipline, you cannot learn.
But the laws say that you can only do so much discipline in the school system.
There are some tie downs, but still, there are ways. Discipline can be taught and enforced, you know, without
but I don't
violating any laws.
Yeah, and I also think you're not talking about, you know, physically hitting somebody or something like that.
I am not.
No.
Obviously.
So Mike, if you would sum up, we've got about 8-9 minutes left in this interview. Why do you think people should vote to put you on the school committee? Let's give you a free forum to just speak to the people and say,
well, as
here's
I
why
said,
you should vote for me.
I'm a lifelong resident of Milford. Not that qualifies me, but I'm a dedicated person. I will be the hardest worker that any of the voters know if I am elected. I guarantee it. My history supports my statements. I've served on the zoning board for 20 years until I had a medical issue.
If I remember, you never missed a meeting until then.
I had a perfect attendance record. If you're not going to be there, then you shouldn't be on any committee or board. I had a perfect attendance record, as I said, until I had a medical issue.
Right.
Which made me miss 2, 3, several meetings.
But you had a perfect record after that as well.
After that, when I came back, I continued with my perfect record until
You didn't get reappointed.
I did not get reappointed. And you know, I did not get reappointed, and I don't mind saying this, in favor of a person, a relative of one of the selectmen who was appointed in my place. That person, and once again, I don't want to, didn't come here to run down people. That
Right.
person attended 2 or 3 meetings and quit after a year. So I was given, without cause, I was not reappointed. I'm getting a little off track here.
No, but you know, I also know when you stand up at town meeting, you've done your research. When you want to talk on the subject, you usually come very armed with the facts and figures.
I try to be as prepared as I can be. I do not expect everybody to agree with me. What I do expect is that by voicing my opinion, people will start thinking rather than just be Stepford town meeting members.
Right.
And go along with whatever anybody says.
But I remember one case in particular, you were in the minority, which was building the new athletic field at the high school, but you came up armed with facts and figures about artificial turf that no one else had. So I know you do your homework.
I would not challenge, but I would ask anybody to fact check any of the statements or data I spit out there.
Okay.
And if they find that I am in error, please let me know. Because I believe I do my research, and I believe, without question, I try to state factual data and factual information.
Yeah. Well, I think, Michael, from knowing you for close to 15 years, I'm not saying this meant in a bad sense. I think you're an old school gentleman. And an old school gentleman means you do your homework, you act responsibly, you're polite to people, even when they disagree with you or you disagree with them. It's sort of the way people of our generation were brought up.
Respect.
Yeah.
Respect for everybody.
There's an old saying that you can disagree without being disagreeable, and I think that characterizes you. And that's, you know, I'm just not trying to get people to vote for it, because most people know I live in the neighboring town, so I don't vote here. But from knowing you for this long.
Speaking of that respect, when I questioned at a later date one of the selectmen as to why I was not reappointed, and I said, look, I'm not crying about it. I would just like to know why I was not reappointed, because
Right.
maybe in knowing why I was not reappointed and knowing my shortfalls, I can work on those shortfalls and make myself a better person.
Right.
The answer was, you're too disrespectful.
Well.
So, I mean, I hope that's not the case.
In any event, well, let's go back to the schools, though. So let's say it's mid-April and you've been elected. You go into your first meeting. Do you plan to bring anything up? Would you sit and get the lay of the land for a few months? How do you think you do it?
A good incoming member will first get acclimated
Right.
to the position. Listen. A good member is a good listener also.
Okay.
Listen, try to get the lay of the land, as you will, and then from there formulate a plan moving forward as to how to proceed.
Right.
And
So
that's what I will do.
So you're not going to be a bomb thrower on your first day, go
Not
in and
my
go, I don't like this, I don't like
That's
that.
not my style. Not my
I'm
style.
just trying to get you to tell the people
Yeah.
how you would approach the job.
As I said, I would go in, get the lay of the land, understand, even though I'm pretty aware of what the school committee does and
Right.
what they don't do, but I'm a touchy-feely guy, so being right there, I can get a better lay of the land, understand fully what's going on and how it's being done before I just, start to act.
Okay.
But when I act, I will be firm and I will be decisive.
Yeah. And your biggest issue is still getting the schools up in rankings and in performance.
We have to get the school, and getting back to the choice, it's easy for me to see why students might be choicing out. When they can go to, I got to tell you, if I was back in school right now, darn it, I might choice out. I might go over the hill to Hopedale, or better yet, to Hopkinton, okay, which is a higher rated one of the,
But I would also say to you, the Hopedale school system and the Hopkinton school system have a different type of student population than Milford does.
well, the demographics might be slightly different.
No,
But we cannot continue to use that as an excuse. We
Okay.
can't come back year after year and use that as an excuse. We need to teach. And now, I don't mean, look, our MCAS proficiency ratings are going downhill. They should be going up. They're going downhill. Our all our standardized testing scores are going down. They're not going up. These are facts.
Right.
Anybody, go fact check me, and you'll find out whereas, excuse me, Medway going up, Millis going up, Holliston going up. All these schools, all the students leaving our neighboring school districts are leaving with a higher quality education than the ones that are leaving Milford. So why would, if someone had the opportunity, why would they not choice out? Why would they not choice out? What's keeping them here in Milford? You know, they all talk about, oh, well, we need to form this committee to find out what's going on here and why people are choicing out. Nothing's being done. No results. We want results. I'm a results guy.
Okay.
In my entire career. I don't care what you do, show me the money. Show me the money. You've heard that before. Show me the pudding. The proof is in the pudding.
Right, so after a reasonable amount of time, if you give somebody a reasonable amount of time to change something, if it's not changed, you're going to act.
More money. They want to throw more money at the problem. That's not how you fix problems.
Okay. And Mike, for those who don't know you, what's your background in terms of business?
My background is, my degree is in business administration,
Right.
with a minor in finance. I've studied engineering as a sideline at UMass and other schools.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a degree in engineering, but I'm pretty up on engineering. I've spent a huge part of my career preparing and administering multi-million-dollar budgets for all kinds of organizations, financial institutions, and the like. So I'm a budget guy. I'm well informed on budget preparation, and more importantly, budget administration, which is very important. I'm a manager. I did work for a couple of different companies in my early years until I decided, for good or for worse, to become self-employed. Seemed like a good idea at the time. After I did it, like about a week after I did it, I was questioning whether it was that great of an idea.
Having done that at one point, what I find is you're selling your services, you're billing your services, you're trying to do all the work, and somehow there might be 2 or 3 hours left over to get sleep.
Somehow. I thought that, gee, I'd be able to manage my own schedule, do what I wanted, when I wanted. Not the case, not the case. You have a commitment to your clients. I don't do much now. I still have some old clients that I do work for on occasion when they call me in, but I've scaled way back. So I have plenty of time and I have plenty of knowledge.
Okay. I hate to cut you off, Mike, but we're out of time.
Okay.
And I just thank you for coming and remind everybody to please vote in the April town election. Michael Visconti is one of several candidates running for the school committee. Thank you.
Thank you, and thank you for having me.